Good morning. So let's take a look at Matthew chapter 22 and the parable of the wedding feast. Jesus answered and spoke to them again by parables and said, "The kingdom of heaven is like a certain king who arranged a marriage for his son and sent out his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding, and they were not willing to come. Again, he sent out other servants, saying, 'Tell those who are invited, see, I prepared my dinner. My oxen, my fatted cattle are killed, and all things are ready. Come to the wedding.' But they made light of it and went their ways, one to his own farm, another to his business, and the rest seized the servants and treated them spitefully and killed them." That's really bad when you invite people to a party and they kill the people. When the king heard about it, he was furious. He sent out his armies, destroyed those murderers, and burned up their city. Then he said to his servants, "The wedding is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy. Therefore go into the highways, and as many as you find, invite them to the wedding." So the servants went out into the highways and gathered together all whom they found, both bad and good, and the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to see the guests, he saw a man there who did not have on a wedding garment. So he said to him, "Friend, how did you come in here without a wedding garment?" And he was speechless. Then the king said to the servant, "Bind him hand and foot and take him away and cast him into outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen." So, here's the deal. We have a lot of stuff packed into this little parable. And that's the thing with parables, is we try our best to understand and make the correct application with them, but it's not always black and white. So to start, we have the coming of the Messiah. He is the groom. He's ready to receive his bride. He was ready for the wedding and the celebration to take place. Everything was in order. God was with man on the earth, Emmanuel. But the people who were there didn't receive Jesus. In fact, it mentions the servants that were sent out, and you think of John the Baptist, who was seized and killed and beheaded. And so you could think of the prophets beforehand as well, that they were beaten and mocked and killed. And so then we find the king is upset about this, obviously. And in verse 7, he just sent out his armies, destroyed those murderers, and burned up their city. Worth noting that eventually the Romans will come. And it's as God spoke. And so it's similar maybe to Assyria, to Babylon, to Persia, to other nations that God has empowered to accomplish his will. And he destroys the city. He destroys Jerusalem, and he destroys the second temple. Now, he sends people out in the highways. As many as you find, invite to the wedding. He sent people out into the highways. While at first there was a select group of wedding invites, now it's just out to everyone, out in the open, sends it all out. Anyone can be a part of this thing. There you go. So you do see at first with Israel, he had a select group that he was working through to reach the world. The goal is always to reach the world, but he was working through that select group. Now, essentially with the gospel, it's not like one people group, or it's everyone. It's going out to all over. It's the Gentiles. First it was the Jews. Now it's the Gentiles, the non-Jews. So he starts off with the wedding invites. Now it's going out to everyone. And so he sends them, and they go and they gather them. And they gather together all whom they found, both bad and good. Again, it's everyone's invited to be a part of this wedding feast, to celebrate the wedding of the king. And the wedding hall was filled with guests. And that's the goal of it all, is to fill the wedding hall. In fact, right now, what we are waiting for is essentially the filling of the wedding hall, the fullness of the time of the Gentiles. And so that's what God is doing right now. He is filling his wedding banquet up with all the people he's invited from the highways and the byways and everywhere else they can find them. But then he sees someone who's not wearing a wedding garment. And this person, when he gets called out, is speechless. And he casts him out into outer darkness. Now, how does this work? Where someone's there and doesn't have a wedding garment? Well, a good cross-reference would be Revelation chapter 19. And the best commentary in the Bible will always be the Bible. And in chapter 19, it's talking about the marriage supper of the Lamb, right? Verse 9, blessed are those who are called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. If you back up one verse, let's see here. I can back up a bunch. Verse 7, let us be glad and rejoice and give him glory, for the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his wife has made herself ready. And to her it was granted to be arrayed in fine linen, clean and bright, for the linen is the righteous acts, or the righteousness is actually the literal Greek, of the saints. Now, the idea here, though, is that this man wasn't clothed in righteousness. This man had not received the righteousness of Jesus. They said the righteous acts is the righteousnesses of the saints. And so this person who shows up without a wedding garment, it's basically the idea of someone who tries to come by any way other than the one way, which is Jesus Christ. And so they're inviting everyone and anyone to come to the wedding banquet. But those who come will be clothed in the righteousness of Christ. And if someone comes not clothed in the righteousness of Christ, well, he doesn't get to go to the wedding banquet. He will be cast out. It is only those who are clothed in the righteousness of Christ who get to come to the wedding banquet. And so he gets cast out. Many are called, few are chosen. Well, think of it this way. When you go back to many who are called, go back and it says in verse 9, go to the highways, as many as you find, and invite them to the wedding. That's the idea of many being called. It's to everyone. It's everyone in all places. Jesus said that when I'm lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. I will draw all to me. And that's the idea, is that the gospel goes out to the whole world. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. And so this was broadcast far and wide. But not everyone's going to receive the message. Not everyone is going to respond to the invitation. And they won't be chosen to come. It's pretty simple. There's those who respond and become the chosen. So, parable of the wedding feast. Sorry, I got broken into two pieces. And yeah, we'll continue on next time. But it's a good from the beginning to end, from the Jews, their rejection, destruction of Jerusalem, the gospel going out to the Gentiles, and at the end, the exclusivity of Christ, and that those who come can only come if they're clothed in the righteousness of Christ. Those beautiful, spotless and white wedding garments that he provides to us. So, God bless you guys. Have a great day, and I will see you guys tomorrow.